Hello. Emergency preparedness. My father is setting the fire alarm off.
Thank you so much for coming. September is National Preparedness Month, and at Way to Live Foundation, we take preparedness very seriously. So we have been providing emergency preparedness workshops for about 12 years. And the reason for that is because our mission is to make healthy lifestyle choices accessible, affordable, educational, and fun using biblical principles. But what a lot of people don't realize is that emergency preparedness is a critical part of public health. It's not something that is as talked about as nutrition and fitness and all of those other things. So it's very important that everyone will consider having a preparedness plan for your family. The reason being is because it will equip you to be able to cope better if there is some unexpected emergency. So, to the man of the hour, Mr. Russell Williams, who is awesome and amazing, and the person that you all really came to see. Awesome. So, again, welcome to Preparedness is Wellness. That is our annual emergency preparedness campaign. Today's session is going to be on survival skills and firearm safety. Hosted by me. I'm Executive Director of Way to Live Foundation. My name is Candace Freeman, and my partner is here today from Raw Precision Defense, Russell Williams, who is going to be the expert telling you all these great things tonight. So, as I said, our mission is to make healthy lifestyle choices accessible, affordable, educational, and fun using biblical principles. Our goal is to actually improve health outcomes for families in the Washington, D.C. region. And we do that by providing educational experiences and basic needs. So, a quick disclaimer, our views do not reflect the views of FEMA or any other government entity or organization. This is for informational and educational purposes only. So keep in mind, we will not be able to cover every possible emergency scenario. It's critical that you learn yourself about the various risks for yourself and your home, and that you use the best judgment and safe judgment at all times. So our anchor scripture for emergency preparedness is Proverbs 27:12. And that says, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. So this is the contact card. You all can pull out your phones or take a screenshot just in case you have to go before the presentation is done. This is the contact information for our facilitator today, Mr. Russell Williams. So survival skills and firearm safety, there's 7 basics of survival, how to build an emergency kit, everyday carry items, recommended trainings that include CPR, stop the bleed, self-defense, and firearms, discussing action plans with your family, urban versus rural survival techniques, basic firearms safety, and basic firearm storage.
Hello, all. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I want to give a big shout out to Candace and Way to Live Foundation for having me out today. If it's okay, I would like to open in a quick prayer. So let's bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for this time. We know that you are our ultimate protector, and no weapon formed against us shall prosper. But we also know that you have a heart for us to be prepared. So we love you, and we ask that you just give us eyes to see and ears to hear. And we thank you for blessing us and keeping us. In Jesus' name, amen. My name is Russell Williams. As Candace so candidly went through, I am the owner of Raw Precision Defense Firearms Training. Right around the COVID time period, I saw a lot of stuff that I had not seen happening in the world before. A lot of people in fear, and I saw a news report that there was 8.5 million new gun owners. Most of them were females and quote unquote minorities, African Americans and such. And I just saw it as an opportunity to go in and teach something that has a lot of great value. I think what a lot of people don't understand about firearms training is that they believe that if you're walking around armed, that you're looking for confrontation, when in actuality, the goal is to avoid confrontation, and to be so hyper aware of your surroundings and everything going on that you never have to engage in using your firearm in a confrontation. But if you had to, you're trained and know what to do. What happens if tomorrow is different from today? Don't want to make this about fear. It's about responsibility. It's about being the kind of person who doesn't wait until the shelves and gas tanks are empty or the streets are burning to realize they should have done more for the people who count on them. Truth is, we don't know what, if anything, is coming, but it's best to be prepared as best you can with what you have and what you're able to afford. The 7 basic skills of survival. The very first thing is mindset, because the mindset can hurt you or damage you more than anything else. If you're already doom and gloom when something happens, it's going to stop you from being able to perform and do those things that you've set out to learn or train under. So it's better to build your awareness. I think a big part of mindset for us believers is that we have faith in God and that we know that God is our ultimate protector and that everything's going to be okay no matter what happens. But at the same time, while trying to protect your household and protect your family, you want to keep your mindset up, because your mindset can bring other people in your family's mindset down and have them doing things that aren't going to help your situation. All right. Second on the list, I always say, is water. Dehydration is the quickest thing to take you out in a emergency situation. So you always want to have sources of water. You can go to Target and actually get a water filter, zero water filters. I think they're around $30. The actual filter itself is around $40. But just to have water filtration in the home, because a lot of us, especially if you're living in the DMV area and you're in an urban area, but a lot of people are on community water. So if power grid goes down or the power goes out, your water sources are going to be not being filtered through the companies that take care of them on a daily basis. So you want to have, if you can access rainwater or some other style of water, you want to have an actual filter that filters out any bad contaminants that could be inside. But this is just a water bottle that I keep, where I put water in the bottom. And you fill this up, and it could be filled with basically contaminated water, but this filter is going to filter it out as it comes through the lid. So if there was ever questionable, or say I had to use a rain catch system outside my home in order to get water, I could just take this out and I should be pretty safe just filling this up and then putting my lid on and drinking out of it. Another one that I keep around me at all times is a life straw. But in a lot of third world countries where they do not have uh, a lot of water access, clean water access, they send out these life straws. And basically, the way the commercials tell you is that you can drink directly from any source of water and it's going to filter out everything bad, up to 3,000 gallons inside the life straw. You have to know the difference between water purification and water filtration. What these two things do are filtration. So what water purification is if you were to have iodine tablets, which I have in my bag, and I'm going to show you guys my emergency preparedness kit, also known as a bug out bag. I have one here, but I'm not going to go through every single thing in it because we'd be sitting here for 10 hours going through everything, and I don't want to do that. But I did pull out a couple of things. But when it comes to water purification, iodine tablets are something you'll hear a lot about, or actual water. You might see them advertised as water cleaning tablets. That's something that is good to have along with your uh, water filtration systems, because if there's any question about that 99.9, that 0.1%, that purification will usually take that out before you get to the filtration. Next is shelter. I'm not going to go too deep into shelter, but I would say if you guys can go to your local libraries and get books on outdoor shelters. Uh, if you're at home, I mean, that is your shelter. So when it comes to the home, there's things you can do like around your windows. You could put up, say there was a contaminant in the air or something, you could put up plastic around your windows and try to protect your household. But I would say, number one, when it comes to all of the survival things we're mentioning today, is study. You have access to YouTube, you have access to libraries, if you have access to books, just get any books you can get on it. You're going to hear a lot of different people who say a lot of different things when it comes to survival. Pick what's right for you, what's right for your budget, what's right for your household. So what I try to do is make it fun for my family. So if we're going camping or going out to do something, we use a lot of this stuff just to know that if the time were to happen, we would have it and know how to use it, not just to own it and keep it and never have used it before. A lot of different shelters you can get inside this bag. I have a tent, sleeping bag. But if you go to YouTube and just put in basics of outdoor survival, they will go through a lot of the shelters and things. And you could literally spend a whole day sitting there watching how to build a shelter. And then if you have a yard where nobody's going to bother you from either side, go out and try it. Nothing wrong with it. Fire starting utensils. So I have what's called a farrier's rod, where you actually strike. But I try to keep lighters, waterproof matches, things like that, just in case I ever need to start a fire. A lot of different fire starting utensils, one of them being a magnifying glass you could use a battery and tinfoil. What I like to keep on my person all the time is a lighter and waterproof matches. As far as food, you want something that comes in a Mylar bag that has, so this is beef jerky. And this is just a Wise brand beef jerky, but it's in a Mylar bag, meaning it's kept airtight without having any contaminants able to get to it, and it has a 6-year shelf life. Another good thing to keep on hand, and this is just 2 Ziploc bags. I also have them in Mylar bags as well, but this is rice. I mean, rice is, if you can eat rice, if you're not allergic to it, or if you don't have a food allergy to rice, it's a great thing to have because a little bit goes a long way. Medical. So medical is whatever is, if you know you need to have certain medicines on you, at heart medicines or diabetes medicines or those type of things, that's stuff you want to keep in your bug out bag. Also, feminine hygiene products, things like that are a must. You want to have everything in a bag so that if you were out and about, let's say you're out of your house, you're in your vehicle, this bag stays in my vehicle. Don't just have one lighter. Don't just have one water filter. Don't just have, you want to have multiples. Get what you can get under your budget, but I say buy it. You might want to buy it a little bit at a time, but build it and never stop building it. It's something that is a lifestyle change. It's not really a one time, I'm going to just go spend $800, get the bag that's already made, and then I'm good. If you don't know how to use everything inside that bag and you don't know um, if it has expiration dates on it, like a lot of these emergency preparedness kits that come already prepared have what's called Mylar bags. um, you don't know when they put that stuff in there. So it might be at its expiration date by the time you get the bag. So you want to make sure that you um, are keeping track of what the dates are and changing that stuff out as you go along. So your 7 basic skills are mindset, water, shelter, fire, food, medical, and then last is security. When it comes to security, there's multiple things, and it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. It doesn't always have to be firearms. If you can take a self defense class at your local YMCA, if you can take boxing class, if you can take kickboxing class, if you can take, there's multiple levels to it. You can learn things to where you don't have to, you have levels before you'd have to get to a firearm. But if you feel that you want to use a firearm and that you are someone who's been thinking about that, and I believe everybody's household should have a firearm in it. And if you have the ability to get a certification to where you can have that firearm on your person when you go out into the world, that's what my specialty is, and that's what I train predominantly in, is teaching people how to do that safely and law abidingly, to where you're not going to get in trouble, but to also have the mindset that you don't go straight to the gun. Unlike most people think, you really want to have steps before you get to having to use a firearm. Nobody wants to take anybody else's life unless you have something wrong with you. Like for me, I would gladly go my whole life without ever having to use my firearm in the training that I train people in doing. So you can get a lot of this stuff at Walmart. You can get it at Amazon, um, or just order through Amazon. The the things that I would never go and buy like off brand is the filters. So the Life Straw is something. Life Straw has been world renowned and recommended through so many people who use it on a regular basis. Like I made sure I saw off brands that were cheaper, but I made sure I got the Life Straw brand.
Don't sleep on the dollar store.
Dollar store, absolutely.
Because there's actually a lot of little things that they might have at the dollar store for those of us who are on budgets.
But also having a emergency medical kit, they actually, you can get them for about $25 to $30 on Amazon. What we're about to go into after this is some of the classes that I recommend, and they're going to tell you the perfect kits to have for that. But my medical kit has tourniquets in it. It has pouches for blood loss and things like that. And you can just Google that, and it'll take you straight to Amazon and find get a smaller one to start with, and then build it as you go along. So mindset, what I was saying with that is, if you're already, I'm gonna actually refer to something my pastor said 2 weeks ago. His his uh his sermon was on, you have what you say, right? So if something happens and you're already set into oh, we're not going to survive this, oh my god, everything's going crazy, I don't know what to do, I don't, like, if you're in that mindset, then you're already lacking in your survival skills right there. You want to be in a mindset of, okay, I've thought about this, I've been thinking about this, I'm training on this, um, things to keep your family spirits up. And then, like we said, with this whole thing, we're also believers in God, so we know no matter what happens, He's in control of everything.
In addition to what Russ has already shared, is that sometimes with emergency preparedness, people get overwhelmed because they think it's like, oh, doomsday preppers, like the world
Yep.
is ending. And that is a very real consideration.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking that. But also, what I want people to understand is it's about being ready for everyday things that occur, right? So maybe the economy doesn't collapse, and all of the stuff that we know in this area with the politics that's going on, maybe all of that doesn't go absolutely crazy right at the moment. However, what we do know is there boil water advisories all the time. I don't know if
Absolutely.
you've been impacted, but it let a pipe break in the municipality locally, and they will tell you, do not drink your water. So it would be helpful to have water filter at home, and also boil that water as they instruct you to do. Shelter. What a lot of people don't realize is, like, for example, when they had that huge ice storm in Texas 2 years ago, what have you, a lot of people froze in their homes, right? And
Absolutely.
so, but if they had, say, a tent that they put up inside the home, that could help as an extra barrier to insulate them, even without having heat in the home, and keep them a little bit warmer. They could have potentially survived that, right? Having food or extra medication, you all know just like I do, if there's any type of call for a hurricane, it doesn't even have to be like the supply chain, like in the pandemic, right? If there's a call for a storm, the shelves will go empty. And so, what you're trying to do, the way that you are going to help yourself and help your family to cope in the event that something happens, is that you have things at home where you don't need to go out and fight with everybody else for the last roll of toilet paper or the last case of water. The reason why it's important to have an emergency kit, a backpack that Russ keeps in his car, if you have to leave home, because we don't know, people who live in Florida, they understand the evacuation orders. And so you don't ever want to be in a situation where you're running around the house for 10 minutes trying to figure out what you need to take with you if you have to leave at a moment's notice. So this isn't just about the end of the world and all of that a lot of times people focus on. You're putting yourself in a position every day to be able to better adjust.
That is great. That's why I like you being on this, because that is one big thing, is like a lot of people when they start talking about this, or a lot of YouTubers you'll watch too, sometimes you're gonna have to filter them because their mindset is Walking Dead immediately. Like they not thinking about just if Hurricane
Okay.
Irvin,
Mm-hmm.
if that had gotten a little bit bigger than it was, a lot of people on the East Coast would have been on a much bigger emergency. Having this bag, I know I have something, I have the ability to use what I need if I needed it.
Those of us who are in the around the Beltway in DC, remember a year or two ago when all those cars got stuck on the Beltway in the ice storm, and people were literally stuck in their cars overnight.
Yeah.
If you had some type of emergency supplies in your trunk, you would be able to ride that out a little bit better. So that's why I'm saying this is practical, and it's a everyday. Russ said it at the beginning. It is somewhat of a lifestyle, but the goal is so that you are better able to cope. So,
Well, question: what do you put your intake on canned food? Is
I don't see in the home. I don't see anything wrong with canned food. The problem with canned food in your bag is the weight. Because say you had to carry that bag longer than for 3 or 4 hours, maybe it's 3 or 4 days you're trying to get back to somewhere safe. God forbid, I hope that never happens. If you had that amount of weight, it's just uh unless you want to practice carrying around a bag that weighs that much. I try to keep my bag as light as I possibly can, um, by using things that are lighter but going to sustain us um, for longer periods of time. Like rice is a huge one because it weighs very little, and just a quarter cup of rice, honestly, will um, can be like a day's worth of nutrition if you needed it to be.
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So that's the only reason I mentioned the other things.
and I learned this in a hiking class. They said when it comes to, think about if you're going camping or hiking, right? They said ounces matter. And
Absolutely.
so because every ounce is something that you will have to carry on your back with your emergency kit, you always want to think, what's the maximum use that you can get out of a tool, but the lowest weight. Think about the things that you would normally eat, like the tuna packs, those are relatively lightweight, nuts or something of that sort.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry to interrupt you, but I'm glad you actually mentioned that because that's something somewhere my mind was going to go to. But um, so I have inside my pack, I keep metal uh, canister. This is for water carry, but with this one, I can actually start a fire and cook rice over it if I need to, or
Oh,
rehydrate something if I need to, or make coffee. Um, but something like this, You can literally go to a yard sale and find this for $3, $2 some places.
Shopper, but
Thrift store, absolutely.
for those who are, that may be a good place. My default is going to Walmart. We're not plugging Walmart, FYI, in this recording. We are not, endorsing them, but that is a good place, specifically in their camping section. With the medical, for anyone who's on prescription medications, a way that you can sort of build kind of a stockpile if you have to have prescriptions. One, you can flat out ask your doctor, tell them what it's for, ask them if they have samples. A lot of doctors will have samples of medication and say, look, I'm trying to build an emergency kit. Can I have some free samples of my medication for that purpose? Or two, be mindful about when you renew your prescription. So think about it. If you renew your prescription 3 days early every time, that's 3 extra pills that you have that you wouldn't have had before.
Some other recommended training. CPR, having CPR training is like just a godsend for many, many reasons. Doesn't have to be doom and gloom or any just being out in normal life. Having CPR training could help you greatly. Stop the bleed training. So you can get CPR training, and they have pretty reasonable, affordable prices at Prince George's Community College. So if you just go to their website, look up when they're having their next CPR training, it's usually less than like $60, somewhere in that range. And then I brought up Stop the Bleeds. Now, just overview of what Stop the Bleed classes are. I recommend anybody who takes my concealed carry training goes and takes a Stop the Bleed course as well. I'm not certified to teach it yet. I will be very soon. But I've taken the class myself, and it's vital to know that if you're willing to put a hole in somebody, that you should be willing to save their life as well. And Stop the Bleed is one of those courses where you go over literally how to stop a person who they might have just broken their leg from being in a car accident, and say you pull over on the side of the road to help them and you see that they're bleeding out. If you have the ability to help them, you can do so with this type of training, and you have the certification to protect you if it comes down to a lawsuit later. You know what I mean? You'll have certification to say, I was trained in this, taught how to do it. I didn't just get out of my car and start rubbing sticks together trying to heal people. And then I also offer firearms training of all levels, from beginner to expert. And I specialize in handgun qualification license, which is the license to be able to purchase a regulated firearm. By that, we mean like a handgun or a pistol. And I teach concealed carry class for Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. So if you wanted to have reciprocity with up to 40 states, you could get all of those through me.
In your searching, just search for those trainings for free. All of them are really awesome and important to know, as Russ has said. So, just keep that in mind. If you're on a budget, there may be free things out there.
This is my bug out bag, and this is what I keep in my car. What we call EDC, everyday carry items, things that are in my pockets, whether I'm in the car, out of the car, whatever. One is always my wallet. And then I always like to keep a multi-tool, something that has screwdrivers, can openers, knives, different things on it, just in case I need it. I always keep some source of fire. Always keep a flashlight. Flashlight, women, everybody in here is a woman, I believe, right? These are essential. A flashlight is essential. Being able to look around your vehicle before you go to get in your car, or even if you don't have a car, say you're riding on a bus, when you get off that bus, if it's late at night, just having a flashlight is so needed for everybody. Because if you are illuminating an area, or say somebody is seeking to attack you, if you can see them first, then you have steps you can make before anything ever happens. So I tell everybody should have a flashlight.
What would you say, Russ, to the person who said that their cell phone is their flashlight?
um, I mean, it does have a flashlight on it. I would say get a real like high lumen. You're looking for like 3,000 lumen flashlight, something that is going to hurt someone's eyes at night if they were, because this is when I'm teaching my self-defense course. I teach people, like, say it's late at night and someone's an attacker, they're coming up on you. I teach them to use the flashlight first and have the gun behind the flashlight. That way they never even see if there's a firearm there or not. So the flashlight, whether you have a firearm or not, is always a deterrent for somebody who's looking to do bad things. But you can find little pin flashlights that are 5,000 lumens that at nighttime will blind somebody and make them rethink whatever they were thinking about doing in the first place. Right. And now with all the sex trafficking and things happening, just women being hyper aware of where you park, and how to look around your vehicle before you go to get in. And if you see anything on your vehicle, even if it's $100 bill laying on your windshield, you got to know that wasn't just a blessing out of the sky. Somebody's trying something. You go to touch that thing, and then all of a sudden, you're in a dozed drug state you didn't know, and you don't know why. It's because you touched whatever item was on your vehicle, and they were trying to get you that way. Right. I don't keep this on me all the time, but these are always in my bug out bag. These are tactical gloves. So just in case it was a major emergency situation, or say my vehicle were to go out in floodwaters, if I needed to break the glass, these are hardened knuckles on the gloves so I can get through the glass without hurting my hand. If I need what I got to be able to get me back to my car, to be able to get me either to my house or to a safe location away from wherever the storm or whatever the emergency is. Huge thing is emergency action plans with everybody who lives inside of your household. 10-year-old or somebody else living in your house, say it's somebody who's older. Just practice what you guys are going to need to be able to help yourselves in an emergency situation. Maybe having a bag for your 10-year-old that is specifically theirs, and make them have responsibility over those items and making sure that they're up to par. Let them have their own flashlight. Let them have their own set of gloves. Let them have their own life straw. Let them have and actually practice using it. Now, I wouldn't recommend you giving your child a gun or anything, God forbid. I wouldn't recommend you giving them a knife even, or a multi-tool, unless you think they're ready for it. Something that this time is missing, that I remember as a kid, they used to send us to outdoor education in middle school, and we went like 2 or 3 years in a row. We learned how to build a campfire. We learned how to fish. We learned how to do a lot of things outdoors. Orienteering, using a compass, knowing if I'm going north or south or east or west, or learning how to mark where we see this hill is. We know how to get back to that hill no matter where we walk. All this stuff was taught, but then there was also a big group of where Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts were a much bigger thing back when we were younger, whereas now all this stuff has disappeared pretty much. So it's like you kind of got to find out about it on your own, or come take a class through someone like me, or go on YouTube and try to filter out any disinformation while you're there.
The only thing I would reiterate, Russ, that you touched on, you said practice what you can do to help yourself. The thing that I want people to get from this is that it's not fear mongering. Because I have been following ready.gov, which is FEMA, they annually have campaigned since 2004 to tell every household to get prepared. And you know why they said this? Like their officials have said, we know we cannot help everybody. And so we want people to prepare so that they can help themselves, right? So Russ is just coming in alignment with, for those who might think it's conspiracy theory or what have you. No, our own government has been telling us for 20 years that we need to get prepared at a home level. In fact, their theme this year for the ready.gov is preparedness starts at home. Now, while you have the resources and the opportunity, because the time to prepare for disaster is before, not during or after. So,
And I would add to that, you also want to look at your own personal situation. Maybe you have an elderly person in your home who needs oxygen, where you don't have mobile tanks to keep on your person for oxygen. You might have to stay inside the home and figure out how to best make your home supportive of whatever the emergency situation is going on outside of your home, in hopes that eventually those firemen or police officers, emergency responders could get there at some point. But if they're not able to get there, what can you do to help your situation yourself? One thing when I'm teaching Maryland wear and carry, concealed carry courses are, the very first thing I say is the national average police response time is between 8 and 15 minutes. And it all depends on where you live, on whether it's even going to be in that time frame. So in an emergency situation, do you want to wait and see what happens in that 8 to 15 minutes, or you want to be able to be prepared to handle the situation yourself and let the emergency responders get there once you know you're safe? Like dehydrated fruit bars or granola, anything like that that has a good shelf life is the type of food you want to have. I want to start this by saying this is definitely not all inclusive. Basically, I'm going to go over firearm safety from its most basic standpoint. So, one thing I always say uh, is the golden rules of gun safety. All right. The golden rules of gun safety, you will hear different instructors. They'll tell you 3 rules, they'll tell you 4 rules. Mine are 5 rules, right? One is always keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Number 2 is be sure of your target and what is beyond that target. So you're responsible for every round that leaves the muzzle of your firearm. So you always want to make sure, and by muzzle, I mean this very front part right here. So the word muzzle, you just think of a dog that bites a lot. So the part of the gun that will bite, you always want to make sure it's pointed in a safe direction, right? And be sure of your target, what is beyond it. Um, Never point a gun at what you do not intend to destroy, whether that be paper, say you're at a shooting range and you're target shooting, or you're shooting at cans. Your intent is to destroy whatever is on the other side that you're pointing that firearm at. And God forbid, if it's ever in a self-defense situation, whatever that threat is on the other side, or whoever that threat is on the other side, your intent is to destroy that threat as well. So, finger off the trigger till ready to shoot. Be sure of your target, what is beyond it. Never point a gun at what you don't intend to destroy. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. So, what I mean by that is, say this gun, somebody just came over and set this gun on the table. We're like, hey, Russ, take a look at this new firearm I got. The very first thing I'm going to do is pick it up, look down, make sure there's no magazine inside, look down the chamber, make sure there is no round inside the chamber, right? That way I know that no matter what happens, whether I drop this gun or accidentally put my finger on that trigger, which one of our rules says to never do, so I would never do it. But it's somebody who doesn't know that actually were to do it, I know the gun's not just going to go off, right? And there's no live ammunition for it to go off, right? So, finger off trigger until you're ready to shoot. Be sure of your target, what is beyond it. Never point a gun at what you don't intend to destroy. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. And then the last one is always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. All right. I said those real quick because I'm going to go back over those from a self-defense standpoint, right? Keeping your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot is very important when it comes to self-defense, because say you're in your home, an intruder has broken in, or you thought it was an intruder breaking into your home. When you are what I teach for home defense is you create what's called a fatal funnel. That means you're not going around your house trying to protect your house. You see that a lot in a lot of videos and stuff where people grab their gun and then run through the house because they're worried about things being stolen or taken. What Maryland says is that human life is more valuable than property, so you are not allowed to defend property. But if that threat is coming into an area and you've so what I say when we talk about emergency action plans, as far as emergency situations outside of the home, emergency action, you should also have emergency action plans for inside the home. So say you have children, you want to get to the your innocent people who are in the home and get them behind you instead of what's called a fatal funnel. And what that means is if the intruder continues up the steps or wherever your bedroom is to try to come and search out people, then that's the only time that you're going to use your weapon in self-defense. But as far as you running down the steps just because you got a gun, you're not a police officer. Like, that's not your duty to do that. Like, your duty is to protect those in your household who are innocent. Now, I always get questions with this, and we're not going to have time to go super deep into those questions. But I know one question I get a lot is, what if my child's room is in the basement and I'm upstairs? Is it okay for me to go? I say in that decision, you have to make that decision on your own, because at that point, you're not like going to clear your house. You're going to make sure your child is safe. But the reason we keep our finger off that trigger is while I'm doing whatever I'm doing, whether I'm in the fatal funnel or going down to try to protect my child, I don't want to make a mistake and have my finger on that trigger and then go to point that gun, and it not be the threat, it be somebody innocent. And my nerves being so hyped up or heart pounding, I accidentally pull that trigger and then we have an accident there. Right. So I'm keeping my finger off the trigger until I've identified with my eyes what my intended threat is. Let's talk about storage really quick, because when it comes to firearms, you do not want to store them in a way where you wouldn't be able to use them or access them when you need them, right? You do want them stored so people who aren't supposed to have access to them, whether that be your kids or a thief who's broken into the house, you want to get some type of safe that is personalized for you. But at the same time, when it comes to safes, I always say one thing you want to avoid. Everybody in here, I'm sure you've been to elementary school or middle school where you had the locker and you had to go 2 turns to the left, 1 turn to the right, and you mess up and can't open the locker. Avoid those for your safe at home, no matter what you do, because trying to do that in a heightened situation where your heart's pounding and adrenaline is rushing, you'll never be able to get that lock open. So they do make other locks, or so nowadays they have like fingerprint, so you could just put your fingerprint in, or they'll have a keypad, so it's just like you're at the ATM, you put your 4-digit code in, or they have ones that remember the fingerprint, the finger setting that you set for it. For anyone that you get, I always say, just make sure you have 2 points of entry. So it should be the fingerprint plus a key, or the keypad plus a key. Like, in case that battery goes dead and the initial thing that it's supposed to do isn't working, you should always have a backup to get into that. And then if you do, you want to guard that key and make sure that nobody who's not supposed to have access to that um, can get access to that as well. Only a key is fine. I just want you to understand that there's a balance, right? So there's no point in having a gun if you can't get to it when you absolutely need it. So just having it there isn't going to help you in that situation where somebody's coming up to hurt you. So you want to be able to keep it, have the balance of keeping it from people who aren't supposed to have it, but you being able to gain access to it when you absolutely need it. What I'm going to tell you is from the standpoint of being an instructor is that they should have it locked up if they have children in the house. But if it's like a single male or a single person who lives by themselves or has only adults in the house, they can do what they want. I mean, it's not illegal for them to have their firearm not locked up. And there's a couple things. So concealed carry outside of the home in the state of Maryland, you have a duty to retreat, meaning you need to get out of, if you can safely leave the situation without any harm coming to either side, it is your duty to do so. We do not have what's called stand the ground laws like Florida does, or even Virginia has some stand the ground laws in play, meaning if there's a car accident, you two hop out, one grabs a crowbar, you pull your gun to defend yourself, then that would be stand your ground and you'd be okay in Florida. But in Maryland, they're like, oh, you saw them with a crowbar, there's no need for you to go to your gun, just get out of the situation and get out of there. Inside the home, unless there is a threat to your person, they don't want you to like Call of Duty style go clearing your house and trying to take out whoever the bad person is. Now, Linda mentioned earlier that someone she knows has a shotgun. I tell people for home defense, it's always good to have a shotgun because you make that sound. Most people with any sense are going to get up out of there and not continue on inside that household. So whether you so I don't know if I'm answering your question per se, but that's the quick overview. Inside the home, it's only to protect your life or the life of your loved ones, is what Maryland's law basically says. Yep. Not property. No matter how much the property is, you could have a Lamborghini in your garage, and they could be going to steal that Lamborghini, unless they're threatening your life while they're doing it. You're not allowed to protect property.
So also, Liberty, I'll add to that. So I was fortunate enough to be trained by Russ, who is a phenomenal instructor, and he also feels very strongly about empowering women to safely feel they understand the use of firearms. So I can vouch for that. But prior to the training I received from Russ, I had a dear friend and a skilled shooter. They worked security. They were not an instructor, but they gave me kind of some informal lessons. And one of the things that they said was if someone breaks into your house, or you think someone breaks into your house, and you have a firearm, close the door, get behind your bed, so there's a barrier between you and that person, and dial 911. So everybody in your home should be on the same page if you don't live alone. So if there's small children, some kind of way you already say, I'm gonna come to you, or you run to my room, or what have you. This is the protocol. Because what you're trying, your responsibility, if correct me if I'm wrong, Russ, but our responsibility as homeowners is to create a barrier so that we minimize the loss of life unless our life is being imminently threatened. So just because somebody breaks in doesn't give you the right to go and hunt them down and say, you're in my house. This is how people end up shooting somebody and they still get arrested. Right.
And there's a big misconception because the news and Hollywood shows it the adverse way, which actually works in some states. I mean, if you live in Tennessee or you live somewhere else, that type of mentality is fine. But in Maryland, they're looking to avoid all confrontation as much as they can. Unless your life is at stake, they do not want you using that firearm.
And so the thing is, right, if you're in your bedroom with the door closed and you're calling 911 and that person is still pursuing you,
yes,
then you have a reasonable case to say, I tried
Absolutely.
to avoid it. And they were still intending to harm me. So I had to use this type of force.
You're pretty
Also,
much spot on.
they also, the whole keep your finger off the trigger, don't point at anything you don't intend to destroy, act as if every gun is loaded. I went to the range one time, was receiving some training. The gun
Wasn't from
jammed.
me.
It wasn't you. It wasn't you. It wasn't Russ. It wasn't. It wasn't him. The gun had jammed. So I will quickly, I put it down and just said, I don't know, instructor help. And they were trying to unjam it, and it seemed like it was clear, but it wasn't. And they turned that gun to the side. Thankfully, it just happened to be missing them and myself, and it went off. It fired. And thank God there was no one else there. So even in this person, they were trained, but even the most trained person, sometimes they're not thinking, you know, exactly clearly in an event that something goes wrong. So
All it takes is a millisecond to make a mistake. Some of the I've been to some brand new ranges, and well, not brand new, about a year old, and I know the owners there, and I was talking to them, and I said, "Have you guys ever had a faulty malfunction or anything with firearms here since you've been open?" They said the first guy was a Navy SEAL commander, so that's somebody you would think would know everything there is to know about firearms, and the second guy was a 25-year veteran of the police department. So another
wow.
person you would think would know everything there is to know about guns. Their caution just got miscomplacent, and all it took was a millisecond, and one of them shot the ceiling and the other shot into the table in front of them. You go to look up, if you decide to like go and do some research on building your bug out bag, your emergency preparedness kit, or following a YouTube or anything like that, just make sure it's right for you and where you live. If you if you in Mitchellville and you out in the woods somewhere, you might have a different setup than if you downtown in Capitol Heights or something. You know what I mean? You might have a different. So what I was going to discuss before all the time went away was urban versus rural survival techniques and building for those situations. So they can be different. So just make sure it's geared towards where you live.
Cool.
So if you've ever been voluntarily or involuntarily submitted to a mental institution, or if you have uh, um, a therapist that you actively are going to see, they would have to get you'd have to get direct permission from them saying that you're stable to own the firearm.
Okay, so they wouldn't necessarily totally preclude
They
somebody.
don't totally preclude. If it was an involuntary put into a mental institution, then yes, they would totally. But if it was voluntary or they're seeking therapy, as long as the therapist gives the okay, then they're good.
Got you. And then does that include handguns, any type of firearms? Because I know at one point the different type of firearms had a different process.
There are a different process. So your long guns. So I'm going to show you what the news calls the scariest gun there is, the AR-15. But it's only because the news calls it scary. But this gun is actually cash and carry, which means you could go to a gun store and purchase this today with no training, no nothing. As long as you don't have a criminal background and you can pass the background check, you going home with this in 2 hours, or a shotgun, or a bolt action rifle. Um, any of those things are what's called cash and carry, which means you don't need any training, any registration, anything. You, as a civilian, can just go purchase it. Now, for regulated firearms, if that was shorter than 28 inches, that AR-15 I showed you before, it would be considered a regulated firearm. And then I would need to have what's called a HQL, handgun qualification license. Regulated firearms are your handguns, or pistols, AR pistols, for something smaller than what I showed you before. But yes, for these, you have to get specific training to purchase.
Share one thing that you all plan to do to get your family better prepared.
I am ready to I'm ready to do a lot. I know I need to do my CPR training. Stop to bleed. I don't know about that because I don't like the sight of a lot of blood. And definitely get he mentioned that was so essential. He mentioned about the kickboxing, boxing, the self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't realize, I went through a situation a few months ago where, I was carjacked. So I didn't, at that moment, you just try to, you just want your life to be saved. You don't think about nothing else. But what I will say is from that experience, it taught me the value of safety. It was like I know I should. It like earlier, Mr. Russell, you mentioned about how Christians we like, oh well, God got us and we good and we have the angels on, which we knew we do because we need the angels for protection, keep them from danger, saying danger seeing us. And we already know the spirituality thing, but that was my mindset. But at that moment, I was like, start thinking. I was like, you know what? No, you need to actually start taking other precautions to keep yourself safe outside of the spirituality. And of course, continue to carry with me. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Never depart. But that's what it taught me on that. So that's why
Can I share something real quick with you?
Mm-hmm.
2 seconds. So yesterday, I'm hyper vigilant and hyper like big in the situational awareness, meaning I'm always knowing what's around me, what's going on, what's about to happen, all of that. I was at Wawa headed to church rehearsal. I was coming out of Wawa and I went to open the door, and this little girl, probably 4 years old, I could see she was on the spectrum, probably had autism, just
Mm-hmm.
came up and hugged me. And it just took a hardened heart to like, oh my God. And the mother was like freaking out. Oh my God, I can't. She's just doing what she do. Don't freak out, whatever. But at the same time, I just felt like an angel just came up and gave me a hug. And I felt the presence of God in that moment. And God was just like, you don't have to be so hyper aware all the time. Um, I'm still here. I got you. And that just, I'm in the car crying all the way to church. But I know some of Maryland's knife laws are worse than their gun laws,
Oh wow.
which is crazy. Yeah.
I will add this, Coco. I just happened to find out. Do a search for self-defense classes in your area, because for example, there is a martial arts studio here in Maryland that I was just told about last week, and they do various martial arts, karate, jujitsu, judo, all of that, but they also do self-defense, which is separate. It's not included in the martial arts, because self-defense is kind of like street fighting. Martial arts has some rules and boundaries
Yeah.
to it, but they also, as a part of the self-defense, they offer like it wasn't knife skills, but it might be like, say you have a baton or something like that. So yeah, so I would say check the self-defense classes in your area, to see if they have anything with other tools other than firearms.
If your reasoning for not wanting to use firearms is one of either A or B, A being you're scared of them. Um, my whole thing in life is getting people over the fear of firearms. It's an efficient tool, and knowing how to use it takes a lot of the fear out of it. Everything that I teach is defense and never offense. So it's being able to protect yourself in a situation where you're being attacked. So I would also have you look at things such as pepper spray, uh, or pepper gel, or other things where it's not going to cause you to have to have your day in court facing over it. But for any of that stuff, you still it still has to be done thinking about the laws. So pepper spray, I would, even though I said that, I should gear you more towards pepper gel, because pepper spray in a windy environment could actually be more hurtful to you than it is to whoever you're trying to get. But a gel will actually stick to their face. As far as, it all depends on which one you get. A lot of them have a little pin that's like a grenade. Pull the pin off and then spray. But it's usually, you can keep them on your keychain. They're small enough to fit. They make some specifically for women that are designed to look like a lipstick case. But I would, the spray, just know if you're in a windy environment where the wind is blowing at you, that spray could come back and affect you as well. So the gel actually goes forward and sticks to the assailant or whoever you're trying to defend yourself against. Yes, so yes, tasers are illegal in Maryland, but stun guns are not. So you could have
they're different. I didn't know they were.
So what a taser is, actually shooting out prongs out of a taser into the assailant, and then they're putting electricity through them. Whereas a stun gun, you actually have to make contact with the person.
Okay. So the way that I want to prepare, first of all, I need to get my emergency preparedness bag revamped. The one
You
that I
have
keep
one
in my
already?
car. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, I need to just probably update a few things in there,
you
make
go.
sure some of the food in there isn't expired. And I haven't been to the gun range in a few years, so I guess I can work on that too.
And I also need to start lifting more weights, because in reality, I don't know how far I would be able to carry.
I'll say for me, like I said before, this is a lifestyle, so it's always learning curves, and you just continue to learn on it. For me, even though I'm supposed to be the expert, I definitely do as trying to get more and more walking in daily with this bag on my back, just to know that if everything went down tomorrow, I can carry that bag and be able to do what I need to do with it. And then also just not having this stuff, but actually using this stuff.
We know sometimes this type of topic could be heavy. We hope that we have shared this information in a way that doesn't feel burdensome, but that has got your mind thinking. What's one thing that each of you want to do while we're wrapping up? What's one thing that each of you wants to do as a takeaway after this session?
Raise awareness for preparedness. Like, I feel like not enough people are aware of the steps that they need to take in order to be prepared in case of an emergency.
Okay, ditto on awareness. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Francis.
I agree with the first person to say, I will definitely make an awareness to people the importance of this, of preparation.
Absolutely. Talk to your families. Talk to your people who are close to you. I know I have brothers who used to think everything I was saying was a conspiracy theory and push me off to the side, and then COVID happened, and they're like, Russ, what do I need to do? And I'm like, we've been talking about this for 10 years, but you were joning on me the whole time. So
that's right.
But even in that midst, now they're more like, oh, my one brother lives in Atlanta. He's like, man, I see people walking around with guns. I see that I need to be able to protect my household, and everybody else around me got one, so I need to know how to use it. So people end up getting more involved once you really can relate to them.
I would also say this about that. Russ and I think we're kindred spirits in that way. We've been kind of sounding the alarm on preparedness for a really long time, and we've been the butt of jokes and everything else. But during the pandemic, my phone was ringing off the hook. And unfortunately, I had to tell people, I'm sorry, I can't help you now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I've been trying to tell you, and now I've got to, make sure that I'm good, my mom is good, my house is good. Now's not the time to be trying to prepare. So this is why it's important. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, right? And I think it's easy with preparedness because we've lived relatively normal lives that have gone unimpacted to kick that can down the road and, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, you all see, like I do, with the increase in tariffs and the price of things, it's going to go through the roof. Okay. It is going to happen. It's not like hocus pocus or, trying to be spooky. The price of goods is already going up. It's going to continue. So why not get the things that you're going to need while you have the money to get them, right? Or if you don't have money to spend on all these things, why not take some of these free trainings? Or Rexham Park has a self-defense. They have a boxing class. It's $5. You know what I mean? So why not do the things? If you're older, and have certain needs, why not get an extra prescription, and do things for all of us can stand to work on our health. These are things that are free. We can go walking, we can lift weights, we can, if you don't have weights, lift water bottles, we can all do things. And Russ's first tip about mindset, work on your mindset now of a persevering mindset, an overcoming attitude. You know what I'm saying? A positive, this will get better type of attitude. All those things will make a difference. So,
one more recommendation.
yes.
And that is to get a book on herbal remedies and medicines that you can keep in your bug out bag. In case those prescriptions run out, you
That's
have some
good.
options that you can use and actually find out and about. There's a book, I cannot think of the exact title of it, but it's something to the effect of We Cut Down Our Medicine. And it's talking about how we mow our lawns. And a lot of times you have stuff in those lawns, if you weren't putting pesticides on them or you weren't mowing them down, that can cure headaches and can cure all different types of things that just grow naturally. So getting a book on that and having it in your bag, it could be an essential tip to healing.
I see one more comment says refreshing my emergency kit and taking a self-defense course. So this is my closing admonition to everybody on here. You all have identified the things that you intend to do. Do them now. Like, don't put them off for another week or 2 weeks, or say you'll get to it because you really don't know. Read the room, see the signs that are on the wall. Don't allow yourself to get scared and overcome. Just take practical steps. You all should have received a checklist from ready.gov already in your emails from me. Everybody who signed up, I did include checklists there. That's a good place to start. It's a checklist to build an emergency kit. If you have the money, just order one and add to it, for simplification. But a lot of the things you may already have around your house, make it easy on yourself and work with what you have, right? But doing something is better than nothing. That's what we need to do. That needs to be our part 2. Take us camping, just day camping. We need some experience, exposure. Anybody else? Last, going once, going twice. All right. Well, it's almost 9:00. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us. We really appreciate it. I also will let you guys know that next week we have a lunch and learn scheduled next Wednesday, 12 to 1 with the Prince George's County government. They're going to come on and talk about some basic emergency management and how to prepare your home. So please sign up for that. We definitely want to show them that people are interested since they've agreed to partner with us. So if you are available for a lunch and learn, it should be no more than an hour. Definitely come on for that so we can show the county, that our community cares about this type of stuff, right? You guys are the Noah of this generation. Amen. Well, keep us in prayer, but we're trying. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I will let you all go. In the end, it is just about 9:00. Thank you again for supporting the organization, but also we hope that this was valuable to you guys. and we will see you again, hopefully at the
This
next.
is great. Thank you. Thank you.
This was
All
No
right.
problem.
Good night, everyone.
Have a
Thank
good
you so
night,
much.
guys.
Okay, bye-bye.